Hey everybody, Worm Racer 08 here. Today's lesson we're going to build a Web 2.0 style navigation bar. It's going to look something like this. We've got kind of the glossy look with some different colored rollovers. And we're going to build this using a single image sprite and CSS, so we won't have to use any messy JavaScript or worry about preloading any images or anything. And we can keep our web pages really fast by using a single image and just moving its background position. And so, like, if you wanted, say, all these to have a different color on the rollover state or the current state, what I like to call the active state, depending on what page you're on, you could just make, we got 5 links here, 5 different colors, and I'll show you how we're going to position the background image so that when you roll over them, you get the one that you want. And we're going to be working in Fireworks, and I'm in CS4, but you can be in CS3 or CS5. It'll be pretty much the same. And I'm aware we could just as easily grab a component out of the Commons library and export that out and use that. But the Fireworks uses a bunch of messy JavaScript for those pre-built menus, and it just makes your pages got a whole bunch of code bloat, and you've got to preload the images with JavaScript, and it's just a mess. So I'm going to show you how to do it really easy with Fireworks. So let's get started. First thing, let's create our project folder. So I'm going to create a new folder here on my desktop and call this Sprite Nav, and that's where we'll store our files at. So we'll get back into Fireworks and let's create a new Fireworks document, and we'll just make it, let's say, 500 by 500 to give us plenty of room to work. So the dimensions that I'm going to use for this bar is going to be 50 pixels tall, and then the background for the bar will extend 100% of the page. So no matter how big your user's browser is, we want that to repeat across the entire page, and then we'll center just the center part that holds our navigational links. But for now, let's get started making the image sprite. So we're going to make this one 3 colors like the one in the example here. We'll use this gray color is going to be just the natural state, and then we'll have a green hover and we'll have a blue hover. So let's make those. We'll grab the rectangle tool, let's draw out a rectangle, and I'm going to set that to be, let's just make it 150 wide and 50 tall for now. And then let's apply, let's change the stage color here so we can see what we're doing a little better. Let's use a nice gray color. We'll make it 686868. There we go. Now we can see what's going on here. Alright, so let's apply a gradient to this. And we're going to make just the natural state first. So let's apply a linear gradient, and we'll make this nice gray color. We'll use 2C, 2C, 2C for that end, and this end of the gradient we'll make 0E, 0E, 0E. And I've already experimented and found the colors I wanted to use, but if you don't like my colors, be my guest, make your own. Alright, so there's the base of it. Let's add the glossy effect to it. So to do that, let's Control C, Control V, and then let's grab up here our free transform tool. I call it free transform tool, but I think it's actually called the scale tool. Anyway, we'll drag this up to about halfway, and then let's give it a solid color and make it white, and drop the opacity on that to, say, I don't know, maybe 9, yeah, 8 or 9. There we go. That looks good. Alright, so there's our base right there, and then we'll select the lowest layer and then hold shift and select our glossy layer, and we'll Control C, Control V. Let's drag this one up here. Alright, so now let's select the base layer and let's change the gradient on this. Let's make our blue one, and we'll make this 0066 cc on this end, and the other end we'll make 0000 cc, a little bit darker blue. Oh, that looks good. But on this one, we're going to apply a Photoshop Live effect, apply a filter to it to give it a little, make it pop just a little bit more. So let's go to Filters, Photoshop Live Effects. Let me get this over here, and we're going to apply an inner glow. So let's check that checkbox. Let's change the color to white, and let's make the size 1, and let's put it in the center. And you say, oh my gosh, well that looks like crap. Well, it does, but we're going to drop the opacity down, and it's going to look pretty good, I promise. Maybe 10. Yeah, I think 10's good. So that looks pretty good, and we can say OK. So now let's select both of these. Holding Shift, we can select our glossy layer and the bottom layer. Control C, Control V. If you're on a Mac, Command C, Command V. And let's make our green layer. So let's select the bottom layer only. If you're not sure what you're selecting, over here in the layers palette, you can kind of see this is our glossy layer. See if we turn that off. Okay, we don't want that one, we want this one, the lower layer right there. Alright, let's change our gradient. And let's, I don't know about this one. Let's just pick, it looks like a pretty nice green color. And let's pick a darker green. I think that'll work. Alright. So there we have it. We've got our natural state, our blue rollover, and our green rollover. So let's take, and I'm going to group each one of these. We'll select both of these, Control G, select both of these, Control G, and select both of these, Control G. Now when you move them around, the layers will stay together. We won't have to worry about losing our glossy layer. Alright, so now what we can do is stack these right on top of each other. Matter of fact, we're going to put the natural state on the top, we'll put the blue in the middle, and the green on the bottom. And I'm pretty sure we're aligned here. Control mouse wheel, and we can zoom in, and H to move around on the document with the hand tool, and it looks like we're lined up really well. So let's zoom back out to 100%. Alright, and let's make the background, well, the background doesn't matter, but we'll just make it transparent, and then let's hit Fit Canvas. There we go. This is going to be our image sprite. So let's go to File, Export Wizard, Continue, Continue, Exit. Alright, so the GIF does not look good at all, even when we bump it up to 256. Got a lot of banding in it. So, and we don't need transparency, so we'll just say this is a JPEG. And 80's fine. You might want to play with yours to see if you can get a little better, a little smaller file size, but look at that. 2.27K, I mean that's super small anyway. We could probably bump it all the way up to 100. It wouldn't change it much. 6K, so we'll leave it at 80. This is much smaller than it would be if we had 3 individual images. Plus it would be a whole lot more messy code to apply this. So anyway, let's export this out as a JPEG. And let's find our project folder that we called, what did we call it? Sprite Nav. There it is. We'll just save this in the root as nav bg. Does that work? That works. .jpg. Alright. So we're done here in Fireworks. Let's jump out of Fireworks and jump into Dreamweaver. Oh, there it is. Let me close that out. Alright. So now we're in Dreamweaver, and we're going to create a new document. New HTML. Create. Alright. So let's create our nav bar. So inside of our body element, what we're going to need is a wrapper tag, a wrapper div, to hold our navigation. And we're going to call this, give this div an ID of navigation. I know, original, right? Skip down a couple lines and close that. And inside of here we're going to have an unordered list. And let's see here, we'll give this an ID of nav. Skip down and close the unordered list. And we're going to need 5 list elements. So we'll copy and paste this 4 times. Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V. Alright. And inside each of our list elements we're going to have an anchor tag, and its link right now we'll just use the pound sign so it'll stay on the same document. And we'll call this one home, not ham, home. And we'll close our anchor tag. And in this list element, same thing, anchor tag, and we'll call this one about us. Close our anchor tag. And our next list element, anchor tag, and services, close our anchor tag, and this one we'll call contact us. Contact us. And in our last one more anchor tag, and we will call this one fax. We'll close that off. Alright, so let's see what we got here in the preview. Oh, that, I missed it. I didn't close my anchor tag right there. Okay. Refresh. So we basically just have a standard unordered list. Alright, so let's start setting up some CSS for this. And so we're going to highlight this div, the navigation div, and we'll go over here and we're going to create a new rule. And we're going to define it in this document. We won't worry with this external CSS sheet. We'll just do it in the document. And click OK. Alright, so what do we want to do? Well, we want this navigation to be 50 pixels tall, and we want it to extend the entire width of the browser. So let's go to box, and we'll make the width 100%, and we'll make the height 50 pixels. That's good. And let's get it off the top of the page a little bit and give it some top margin, say maybe 100 pixels. And let's see, we're going to use our image sprite, the natural state, as the background for this. So let's browse to our background. Let me get up here to the desktop. Let's see, where's our project folder? Sprite nav, there it is. And we're going to use this image right here, the one we just made in Fireworks. Select OK. Oh, well, we better save our document. Alright. So let's cancel that for a second. Let's go ahead and save this as file, save as, and let's go to our project folder, Sprite nav, and we'll save this as index.html. There we go. Alright, so now again let's highlight this div. Since we'll create this rule in the document. Okay, and let's go to background, select our picture. There we go. Alright, we want it to repeat X so that it extends on the X axis all the way across. We want it to be the top. We want the left position to be at the left edge and the top position. Yeah. Alright, and we click apply. Alright, and see what we got there is because I'll show you how to fix that in just a minute. So we got to go back to box and let's make our width 100%. And let's make our height 50 pixels. We'll apply that, and that gets rid of the other. So, but just to make sure, and for the rest of the other browsers, we're going to go to positioning, overflow is hidden. We'll apply that. That chopped off our owner list, but we're going to fix that in a minute. So let's see what we've got so far. We should be okay. Well, let's preview this in Chrome. Yeah, we'll save our changes. Alright, perfect. So it's going to extend the browser no matter what. Okay. Alright. So now let's start styling up our list so that it actually looks like a navigational menu. So our unordered list, let's create a new rule for it. New CSS navigation nav in this document. Okay. And let's see. Well, we know that we want this thing to be, let's just say that our website is going to be 1,000 pixels wide, that our actual website is going to be fixed at 1,000 pixels. So we'll make our navigation bar 1,000 pixels wide, and we want it 50 pixels tall. And let's see here, let's center that. So we'll give it a right margin of auto and a left margin of auto. And let's see, we need to make this a block level element. So we'll go to let's see, where is that? Oh, block. We'll display block. Apply that. Okay. And let's see. We don't want any list style type, so let's go to list. List style type of none. Get rid of those discs. Apply that there. Okay. So we're starting to get somewhere. And let's see here. Let's go back to box and give it a top margin of 0. Look at that. Alright. So that should be good styling for our unordered list. Now we need to move on towards the actual list elements. So let's select one of the list elements, and we're going to create a new rule for that. Okay. And that rule, first thing we need to do, I suppose, is let's apply our background image to our list elements. So we'll select the same image. Okay. We want to repeat them across the x-axis, and we want it to be at the left top. That way we'll have our default state. Okay. And let's see, what else do we need? Well, let's set our height and width. So our width is going to be auto, because we don't know how wide we need these to be depending on what we put in it for our text. But our height is going to be 50 pixels, we know that. And we need to float all these elements to the left. Let's see where we're at now. Ah, there we go. But they're all mashed up against each other, so let's apply some padding. And let's uncheck this, and we will apply, let's say, 40 pixels to the right and 40 pixels to the left padding, and apply that. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Say OK, save our changes and preview this. We'll go back into Chrome here and refresh the page and see what we got going on here. Okay, that looks pretty good. They're spaced out pretty good. Okay, let's get back into Dreamweaver and let's apply a border so that we have an edge on each one of these in between the elements. So we'll go back down here, select our list element again. This time we don't need to create a new CSS rule, we just want to edit the rule we've already created. So let's go to border and uncheck these. We're only going to have a border on one side. We're going to put a border on the right side, and it's going to be a solid border. We're going to make it 1 pixel, and we will make it We don't want that color. We're going to use, let's use 2C, 2C, 2C. That way it'll look like it fades off into the top, since that's what we used as part of the gradient. And we'll apply that. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, well, so we're almost done. Let's save those changes and take a look. Go back into Chrome and refresh the page here. Yeah, that looks nice. Let's give the body that gray color so we can see this a little bit better. So we'll just unselect this, click on Page Properties, and Appearance. The background color we want to be, let's make it 68, 68, 68. That's what we used in Fireworks. We'll apply that. And change, file, save our changes, get back into Chrome here and see what this looks like. Yeah, it looks a little bit better. And I thought we put some margin on the top of this thing to get it off the top of the page. Let's go back and look. Oops. We need to see the split view. Okay. Let's look at our navigation rule. We click in the navigation div, edit rule, and let's go look here and see. I guess we didn't. So let's apply a top margin of, say, 100 pixels. Just to get it off the top of the page so we can see it a little bit better. Save those changes and jump back into Chrome. Refresh. There we go. That looks good. Now see, you can add, if you've got 6 or 7 or 8 different menu choices, the background's set to repeat, and so you won't have to worry about if you're going to be able to fit them all in there. I mean, at some point they're going to get all squished together, so you wouldn't be able to put, like, say, 20 up here. But then you could do drop menus or something. But anyway, that's beyond the point. Let's get back in Dreamweaver and style up our anchor tags. So we will, let's see here, we need to click in one of your anchor tags, and let's create a new rule for this. Select OK, and on the type, let's just, veranda's fine. Let's make them maybe 16 with a bold font weight. Font styles, we don't need to do anything there. I always like to give my line height just a little bit bigger than my font size. Text transform, let's make it all uppercase. And let's make them white. Make it look a little bit better. And let's give them no text decoration. Apply. There we go. That looks nice. But they're still stuck up at the top. So let's go to box and let's apply, I think we can apply a margin, a top margin here. So let's say maybe 17 pixels. Will that work? No. Oh, you know what? I think we need to, let's see here. We need to display the anchor tags as block level elements too, so that we can apply. There we go. So block, display block, because they're naturally an inline element, you can't apply margin or padding to them. So we'll make them a block level element, and then we can apply 17 pixels margin to the top right here. That looks about right. We'll say OK and save our changes and look and see what it looks like in Chrome. Yeah, there we go. That looks very nice. Yeah. Alright, so now we just got to do our hover states. So let's get back into Dreamweaver here. Alright, so let's just make our hover states and we'll be done. Well, unfortunately, Dreamweaver doesn't allow us to select our anchor tags and then apply a pseudo selector, which is how we're going to do our hover state. So, or if it does, I don't know how to do it. So we're just going to have to manually hand code this stuff in. But it won't be too bad. So actually what we'll do here is we'll copy this line, the navigation list, and I'm going to go into code view because we don't need to see what's going on down there anymore. So we need this navigation nav list, and we're going to Control C, and just underneath the closing bracket we're going to paste it in, and an opening bracket, skip a couple lines, closing bracket, and let's set our background we're going to use the same image, of course, because we only have one. navbg.jpg. Boy, that's a mouthful. We want it to repeat X. But instead of it being at the left top, the left position is not going to change. We're going to keep it at left. But let's look at our graphic here in Fireworks. So we have, this is our natural state. The blue is going to be one of our rollover states, and the green is going to be. So we know that these are 50 pixels tall. So we need to move this image up by 50 pixels each time we want to display a different color. So the first one, we'll display this this blue as our rollover. This will be our like global rollover color. Will be this blue. So in Dreamweaver, we want our top, where we had top before, we just want to move that image up. So we need to move it up by 50 pixels, and to do that we need a negative 50 pixel move. So we'll apply that, and we also need to add this to the pseudo selector of hover. So our navigation, nav, list, on our pseudo selector of hover, we want to move our background image. And so let's save that, and we should now have our hover states. We'll refresh the page, and looky there. That looks nice. We got a problem here with our padding, it looks like. Yeah, you see the line right there? So let's go back into Dreamweaver here and see if we can. Okay, actually what we shouldn't have actually done, put the background on there. I'm sorry. I'm steering you guys in the wrong direction, and I did not mean to. Our left and negative 50 is correct, but what we really want is background position. We just want to move it. So background position, we want the left to be there and move it up 50 pixels. So let's save that and see if that took care of my problem. And it didn't. So let's see. Well, I'm going to pause the video and see what I did wrong, and I'll be right back. Okay, so evidently 40 pixels padding between each one of these list elements was a bit too much. And it's doing that because we've got a 150 pixel wide image. What we really should have done in Fireworks was, after we've made these, was cut this down to maybe 5 pixels wide. So if we would have just selected them all and made the width 5 pixels, and we could have fit the canvas, then we'd have even a smaller image, and this would actually work out better for the repeat X, because we're repeating a 150 wide pixel image. So this is what I would recommend you do, and if you want to see a tutorial on that, just let me know, and we'll adjust this one. But for now, we're just going to work with what we have. So we just need to, under the navigation, nav, list elements, just reduce the padding to about 15 pixels. That seems to work okay. So we'll go in here and refresh the page. You can see we're not getting any kind of overlap. So that looks pretty good. So let's get back in here. And so now we have our global rollover state. But let's add our green image as well. So what we're going to do is we're just going to apply a class. So let's make the contact us the only one that gets a green rollover image. And to do that, we'll click inside of this list element and we'll say class equals, and let's just call it green. And let's go up here and create this class. So what we want though is on this hover element right here that we just created, let's copy and paste that. This is our universal blue hover. So we'll Control C, Control V, and instead of list pseudo selector hover, we're going to say list dot green hover, and we're going to change that background position to a negative 100. Or actually, in this case, we could just say bottom, since it's our last image, and we'll save that and refresh the page. And now contact us, look at that, it gets the green when the other ones get the blue. Huh? So let's say this is our home page, and we want this to be highlighted blue, so that whatever page you're on, it's always got the blue highlight. Well, to do that, we'll just create another class, and this is a class you would add to each page that was the active page. So we'll create a class called, we'll just say call it active, and we'll go up here and we'll do nearly the same thing. We'll copy, Control C, and we'll put it above this one, and Control V. But instead of the hover pseudo selector, we're just going to say list element dot active, and we want it to be blue. So we'll say file save. We'll go into here and refresh the page, and look at that. So it's blue, and then we have each of our hover states. So that's it. That's pretty much it. We have one image, and you can do this with 5, 6 different colors, however you wanted to do it. Your page will load way faster. The images are smaller. And like I said, what we should have done was cut this down to about 5 pixels wide. And we would have had a super small image, and it would have repeated across the x-axis better than what we've done. But anyway, you get the idea. You see the technique and how to apply it. So I hope you guys like this one. We'll see you next time.